Captain America Brave New World. Does Captain America Brave New World show MCU fans that Marvel can do it without Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, or will it have you reminiscing about the good old days? Let's get into it. So, let's talk about how this has basically a different Captain America. This is pretty obvious, right? With Steve gone, the movie has a noticeably different feel with just Sam holding the mantle. Uh, right down, I guess, to the character. He's not the Falcon anymore from Falcon Winter Soldier. He has graduated to Captain America. Anthony Mackie's playing him. It's just a different feel to the movie as a whole. I mean, we I'm trying to really think about comic book movies out there where we've actually had this kind of pass the mantle. And I don't mean like when new actors play the same character, not like the Batman franchise, nothing like that. I'm talking where a character has literally passed down the mantle from one version of a character to another. We really haven't had that. I mean, I guess Power Rangers, I guess in some versions of the Power Rangers they do that, but nothing of the magnitude of like MCU movie scale, right? So it just feels like something's noticeably missing, or you're kind of unsure of how this is going to go. Now, in saying all that, Anthony Mackie and the character Sam Wilson make it very clear multiple times in the movie that, and there's other opportunities, even when Harrison Ford's General Ross even says it, you're not Steve Rogers. This comes up a lot during the movie. The movie does not shy away from the fact that he's not Steve Rogers. I think that they do that in a way though to let you know that's okay. This is going to be okay. This version of Captain America can live without Steve Rogers, or can he? That's kind of what we're here to prove. So he does also make it known, Sam Wilson, that is, that he should have maybe taken the super soldier serum. I don't know why that's the SSS word. Blah, blah, blah. That he feels like he sometimes cannot be as good as Steve could. That Steve just has that thing that he does not have, and he can't be Captain America without it. But there is a point where, try not to give too many spoilers away, but it is said that yes, Steve was Captain America with the oh, here we go again, with the super soldier serum. Steve Rogers was Captain America with that, and he was a Captain America that you could believe in. But Sam Wilson, with or without the serum, is the Captain America you can aspire to. I feel like that's a very powerful statement that is made in the movie, because it kind of puts in perspective for you that obviously if you are one looking up to Steve, you can never be Steve, right? Because he has things that you don't have, right? Physical things, the serum. But when it comes to Sam Wilson, the one that you can get behind to and aspire to, then that's something different, right? I can look up to him. I can actually be him, not so much at a superhero level, but just his patriotism and what he can do for the country. I can live up to that too. I can do that without having to have superpowers. So I think that very well states the differences between the two characters and why exactly it's important that this Sam Wilson be Captain America, and that it still works. It still works. It's a different version of him, and I can get behind that. So, I want to talk about other characters. We have heroes and villains in this list. We have Isaiah Bradley's Captain America, which is, again, he was featured in the Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney Plus series, but he's the World War II version of Captain America. And he was obviously put away and tested and studied and all that kind of stuff. You learn in the movie. It's also talked about in the show. But he plays a pivotal role in the movie, and I like how he has kind of this father-son relationship with Sam throughout the movie, and he kind of does play for good comical relief. And I actually like his character overall, and I hope we could see more of him in future Marvel movies. We have Joaquin as the newer Falcon, Joaquin Torres, and so I like that we have someone taking the Falcon mantle. We kind of got tidbits of this in the Falcon Winter Soldier show. But I'm glad that I like his character. I like that Sam still kind of has this kind of relationship like he did with Steve, as far as, not that he's the sidekick, but he kind of was with Captain America and the Falcon. He was kind of the sidekick like Batman and Robin, kind of, sort of. So I kind of like that we have that relationship, and I feel like Sam has a lot to offer Joaquin. So I like that relationship. We have Sabra, who is basically another version of a widow. She's really no relation to the character of comic book origins other than a name. All that stuff was in the script because of political stuff going on in the world, but she's a very interesting character. We got to see her in action, I feel like, a little bit, but I'd like to see more of her. I feel like we're kind of building out that team. I know it's sad with Natasha being gone, that we don't really have the widow. Maybe she'll come back, but I'm glad to see that we kind of still have a widow being good in this kind of playbook, because I feel like Natasha was on that kind of team. You had Bucky, Natasha, and Captain America. So I'm glad that we have Captain America again, Sam Wilson. We have Sabra, and we have the Falcon, Joaquin Torres. So I like that kind of triplet again. So we have Harrison Ford's General Ross. I I still kind of prefer the previous actor compared to Harrison Ford. I don't know why he's not in it, of course, but Harrison Ford was fine with or without having the mustache. That kind of put it on in a past scene, but he did fine. I thought he was okay. Um, him as the Red Hulk, it was just as good. I mean, I was okay with him overall, and I think he plays that role very well. If you're familiar with Harrison Ford movies, he's whether it be Air Force One or all the ones he's done, he can play that kind of presidential spy role, action, political thriller. He can do that really well, and so he's kind of like in his element here. So I like that. Uh, Actually, kind of my favorite was Giancarlo Esposito's Sidewinder. I didn't think I was gonna like him because he seemed pretty basic, but he was actually pretty badass. I liked him a lot, and I hope we could see more of him for sure. I think he's obviously a very good adversary for Sam Wilson's Captain America. There's a couple of scenes where I'm like, damn, he can do it. I'm like, how do we go from how he is in The Boys to this? I didn't know he had it in him. So yeah, I really enjoyed him. And I hope he is able to get out of his little prison sentence and make a comeback in a future movie. I feel like there's gonna be a time where he could probably obviously be an adversary, but maybe even be like a little bit of an anti-hero and help Sam when push comes to shove, maybe in, Doomsday or Secret Wars. That'd be kind of cool, having to team up with him a little bit, but it'd be cool to see that. The leader, aka, or sorry, Samuel Stearns, aka the leader. So this was a callback to the Incredible Hulk, which was from the MCU before Mark Ruffalo. That was with, oh my gosh, Edward Norton. Sorry, there's been a lot of Eric Bana, this one. So his look overall, the character himself was okay. I don't think they really made it known. Not that they didn't make it known. I don't think they really utilized enough of what he can do for what he did. Yeah, what he did was cool, but maybe they could have done a little bit more with that. But his look overall was kind of weird. He reminded me of a character from. He reminded me of a couple characters from Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'll try to find it if I can find the picture. But I was just kind of like, what is this? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? But yeah, that's exactly who it reminds me of. I can't remember the name, but I'm just like, what is this? He doesn't look anything like he does from the comics, and I think they should have kind of went with that. Suppose there was reshoots involved, but I mean, having more of an apparatus to kind of hold up his brain and kind of stretch it out more so he was more egghead looking, and still having the kind of details of a brain on top, I think would have been better. That's just my 2 cents there, but there's that. So I do want to talk about missed opportunities. Um, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time as far as what I like. So that's kind of went in detail about the different Captain American heroes and villains, but missed opportunities. So I feel like we could have used more humor, and that's always been a MCU strong point. At this phase of the MCU, we kind of know the majority of these staple characters. So Sam Wilson's been in these movies already. Bucky Barnes has been in these movies. I know we have some newer characters from the Disney Plus show, but at this point we should already know them, right? General Ross, all these characters. So I feel like while we kind of got it halfway through the movie a little bit, it should have happened more in the beginning. I know we're trying to be very serious and, kind of lay out what's going on, but I feel like we spent too much time doing that. There was just too much seriousness, and we didn't sprinkle in enough of that humor that we're used to seeing in an MCU that I feel like could have really. I feel like that's what people like to watch. A little bit of both, right? It makes it more like lightheartedness and then the serious. Like there wasn't a good balance of that. It was a strictly just all serious thriller. Um, so that's one of them. My biggest one I thought was with. I'm trying not to. Spoiler alert, guys! Spoiler. I'd have to talk about this point, but spoiler alert. If you have not seen the movie, this is a spoiler. Okay, Liv Tyler. So General Ross talks throughout the movie about how he really, wants to strengthen his relationship with Betty and how it's strained. And, he has a phone call with her in the Oval Office, and that's great. But there's this buildup where General Ross is going to become the Red Hulk, right? So what's the one thing that could calm down the Red Hulk? Probably Betty, right? No. We get Sam Wilson talking about Betty, and then a cherry blossom flies into the Red Hulk's hand, and that's what calms him down. What? What? There's even a mention from, I think it was Sabra, that was talking about how backup is coming, just wait. Don't approach the Red Hulk. You already got the crap beat out of you, just wait. So the line has been said that backup is coming 5 minutes away. And you couldn't do the one thing that would probably work is to have Liv Tyler come out and and say, Daddy, it's me. And then, there's the cherry blossoms, and then you have like the emotional moment where Jenna Ross is like, oh, it's my daughter, my baby. And then that's because I feel like that's how she did it with the Hulk in the other movies. I feel like that's how that happened. Like, she approached the Hulk, and then she, either her voice or her touch, hand on the cheek, the cliche thing, but it calmed him down. So I feel like that's what we should have got. So I don't know if that's because of they couldn't get Liv Tyler to do that, or there was reshoots, or Harrison Ford, or the schedules. I don't know what it was, but that's what should have happened. That's what should have happened. That's what should have happened. And what we got was all right, but I'm like, y'all cheesed out on that one. Okay. I want to talk about a big thing that's been in the news lately, which is the Rotten Tomato scores and the cinema scores, the audience's perception of this movie. So critics and audiences did not agree on this movie. So as of this recording, the critic score is 51% and the audience score is 80%. That's, we're talking about an F and a B. So those are not good. And that's kind of opposite of how the last Captain America movies were, because a lot of times the scores were within reason of each other. So I think this has a lot to do with the absence. This is a whole new Captain America. It's a whole different version of the story going forward. And so I can see where fans are kind of conflicted, and critics, of course, they're always critical. My theater was sold out, and most of the showings for the whole weekend were sold out. And I feel like fans really liked it. It seemed like they liked it. They were getting engaged. They were laughing. But it just didn't seem like, when you go to a Marvel movie, you always have that moment where, like, not that there's claps and standing ovation, but it's just like there's, some type of emote from the crowd that just is like, yeah, woo, something that gets them excited. And this one kind of, I think people knew what to expect. Now, the cinema score is supposedly the lowest it's ever been for an MCU movie, but it is deserved. It had a B. And while kind of yes, kind of no, 80% is a B. So I guess it is what it's supposed to be, given how the audience has, liked the movie. This is true. That's indicative of that. So I'll kind of get in my final thoughts and rating here in a second, but, saying that overall, I think that kind of echoes a lot of what people have wrong with the movie. It's doing well at the box office so far. I don't know if it's going to be able to make up its whole budget, but it's doing relatively well for the whole holiday weekend and stuff like that. Now, the one point attached to this is this a story that needed to be told? I did enjoy the movie, despite there being some, again, I've talked about earlier in this video, but I did enjoy it overall, and the movie and the story, and I can see it as a movie sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus show. But given the state that the MCU is in, given the stuff that we had with Kang and Jonathan Majors, and kind of this multiverse saga that we've been going through that has not really worked out that well, with Ant-Man and some other movies, I just don't know if this and Thunderbolts was the best way to kick off the Marvel movie season. I'm going to say it that way. They don't really propel the MCU forward. I think Fantastic Four is going to be the one that does that. And that kind of makes you think, well, what are these movies here for then? Why should I go see them? To me, this is just like a side story. I know it still lives in the same universe, and yes, somehow it is going to all link together, but I feel like where we are, fans don't want that. Fans want to go see a Marvel movie that actually gets them to the next one. And this, sad to say with the Thunderbolts, I'm probably going to go see that one as well, but with the Thunderbolts having Sentry in it, he's just going to be a one and done. I feel like he's going to be a one and done character probably. And that whole exercise will really kind of be for nothing. Probably there'll be characters that we can utilize in the other two Avenger movies that are coming out, but really at this point, is that what we're trying to do? Are we trying to establish, the quote unquote new Avengers and the Thunderbolts too as ways we can team up and battle Doom? I don't know. I don't get that vibe from this, but I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see. But that's my thoughts on that. So, my final thought and rating. While Sam Wilson's Captain America proves that strength and patriotism can be demonstrated without having superpowers, his standalone movie has a hard time convincing audiences it can and needs to exist outside of Steve Rogers' shadow. Comic book and MCU fans will appreciate the movie, like myself, but the average moviegoer might walk away feeling empty-handed. That's my thought. So I give this rating 4 out of 5 Anthony Mackie heads because I really like Anthony Mackie. Again, I like this version of Sam Wilson's Captain America. I can see where they're going with it, and I can stand behind him. I can stand behind Steve Rogers, Captain America. I can get behind both of them. So if you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts down below. Did you enjoy the movie? Do you feel like this is the Captain America that you can get behind? Are you okay with this version of Captain America? What do you think about the other characters that were in the movie? Are you confident now that the MCU is back in its game? Do you feel like we're best foot forward, or do you feel like we're kind of in the same, getting that same rut again? We're kind of in that comic book movie fatigue, and this isn't the movie to get us out of it. Love your thoughts in the comments down below. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the like button, if you want more like this one, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.